Welcome, Autograph Fisherman here, and this is Remember That Show. This week we are looking at the show You Can't Do That on TV. Genre sketch comedy, created by Roger Price, directed by Jeffrey Darby Bryan, LeBold Brenda Mason Alex, Sutton Roger Price Gerben, Heslinga starring Les Lie Abbey, Hagyard Christine McGlade. Additional cast opening theme, William Tell Overture, Dixieland Arrangement, Country of Origin, Canada, Original Language, English Number of Seasons, 10 Number of Episodes 144, plus 2 compilations, Production Executive Producers, Jeffrey Darby Bryn, Matthews Jeffrey C. Weber John Findlay, Geraldine, Laybourne, Robert Wilson Producers, Roger Price, Jeffrey Darby Brenda Mason Production Locations, CJOH TV Studios, Ottawa, Ontario. Running time 60 minutes, 1979, 80, 30 minutes, 1981 to 90, Original Release Network CTV, 1979 to 90, Nickelodeon, 1981 to 90, release, February 3, 1979, May 25, 1990. You Can't Do That on Television is a Canadian sketch comedy television series that aired locally in 1979 before airing in the United States in 1981. It featured adolescent and teenage actors performing in a sketch comedy format similar to America's Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In and Canada's Second City Television. Each episode had a specific theme, typically relating to the popular culture of the time. The series was produced by and aired on Ottawa's CTV station, CJOH-TV. Initially a local program, it was marketed specifically for a North American-wide audience. From its third season on, it was staple on the early years of the American cable network Nickelodeon, becoming most famous for introducing the network's iconic green slime. The channel aired reruns through 1994, when they were replaced with the similarly themed domestic sketch comedy variety program All That. The show was notable for launching the careers of many performers, including alternative rock musician Alanis Morissette, filmmaker Patrick Mills, and television producer and screenwriter Bill Prady. The show is the subject of the 2004 indie documentary You Can't Do That on Film, directed by David Dillahunt. Filmed in August 2004, the documentary was released in North America by Shout Factory in 2012 and reissued in 2022 by MVD Entertainment. The film's tour of Studio D at CJOH was the final production made in the original studio, as the space had been sealed for tax purposes by station management. The building was demolished in 2011 following a fire in February 2010. The first 21 half-hour episodes were released on iTunes and Amazon in 3 volumes, beginning in December 2012, but these volumes are no longer available. In 2021, the first 14 half-hour episodes were made available on Paramount+. Outside of the 1989 Worst of You Can't Do That on Television VHS from Elektra Video, the series has never been formally released on home media. Local television You Can't Do That on Television premiered on February 3, 1979, on CJOH-TV in Ottawa. It was a locally produced 1-hour low-budget variety program with some segments performed live. The show consisted of comedy sketches, music videos, and live phone-in contests in which the viewer could win prizes such as transistor radios, record albums, model kits, etc. The format also included performances by local disco dancers and special guests such as Ottawa-based cartoonist Jim Unger. Each week, the show took its roving camera to hangouts around town, recording kids' jokes or complaints about life, which were played on the following week's broadcast. The show also benefited from links with popular Top 40 Ottawa radio station, CFGO. For example, station personality Jim Johnson emceed the disco dance segments and shared tidbits about the artists featured in music videos. Veteran comedy actor Leslie played numerous recurring characters and was initially the only adult to perform in the show's sketches. He was the only actor to appear for the entire series run. Actress Abby Hagyard, who played the maternal character Valerie opposite Lie's paternal role, Lance, joined the series in 1982. Occasionally, the older children in the cast, including Christine McGlade, Sarah West, or Cindy Kennedy, played adult characters. The show offered programming for children on Saturday mornings that made no attempt to be an educational program. The idea was successful, as, according to one episode, the show scored a 32 share of the ratings for CJOH in its 10:30 a.m. Saturday time slot. The studio masters for the first season episodes no longer exist, and all but 3 of the episodes from the first season were believed lost until early 2013, when copies of the missing episodes from off-air recordings were contributed by Roger Price and posted on YouTube. The format was similar to You Must Be Joking and You Can't Be Serious, children's sketch variety shows that Price created and produced for Thames Television in Britain from 1974 to 1978, national television in Canada. After a successful first season, a national network version of You Can't Do That on television, entitled Whatever Turns You On, was produced for CTV and debuted in September 1979. Its hour-long pilot episode had aired in May. The show's creators shortened it to 30 minutes, removed local content, and added a laugh track. They replaced music videos with live performances from popular Canadian artists including Trooper, Max Webster, Ian Thomas, Ottawa's own Cooper brothers, one of whose members, Dick Cooper, later became a writer for YCDTO-TV, and disco singer Alma, Faye Brooks. Ruth Buzzy joined the cast, playing many of the adult female characters, including a strict schoolteacher named Miss Fit, and the studio secretary Miss Take. In addition, the 22 children from the first season were trimmed down to 7, Christine McGlade, Lisa Ruddy, Jonathan Gebert, Kevin Summers, Kevin Schenk, Rodney Halal, and Mark Bayon. Another first-season cast member, Elizabeth Mitchell, only appeared in the pilot episode. The show was placed in the 7 p.m. time slot on Tuesday nights, and some CTV affiliates opted not to carry the show, possibly because of concerns about its content. As a result, CTV canceled the show in December 1979, following poor ratings after only 13 episodes. In January 1981, production on YCDTO-TV resumed, and a new set of episodes aired locally on CJOH through May 1981. The format of the 1981 episodes was similar to that of the inaugural 1979 season, but each episode featured sketches that revolved around a certain topic, something that carried over from Whatever Turns You On. As disco's popularity had waned, the dancers were replaced by video game competitions. At that time, Price and Darby tried to syndicate YCDTO-TV. They edited each 1981 episode into a half-hour format similar to that of Whatever Turns You On. Some scenes were reshot to remove any specifically Canadian content, and the half-hour syndicated edits became entirely sketch comedy. The 1981 season was rerun on CJOH in early 1982 in the half-hour syndicated format. To compensate for the removal of local content, Price and Darby created a new local show for CJOH titled Something Else, which featured many of the YCDTO-TV cast in a game show variety format similar to that of The Price is Right. The YCDTO-TV team also made a pilot television film for Disney in 1981 titled Bear Rapids that was never picked up. 4 of the hour-long CJOH episodes from the 1981 season, Strike Now, Sexual Equality, Crime and Vandalism, and Peer Pressure, are available for public viewing on YouTube. The rest are only currently available in the half-hour edits. Nickelodeon peak years. In 1981, the new American youth-oriented cable network Nickelodeon took an interest in YCDTO-TV. Nickelodeon originally aired several episodes in the edited half-hour syndicated format as a test run. The response was positive. And in January 1982, Nickelodeon began airing the entire edited season. By 1983, YCDTO-TV was the network's highest-rated show. Production on new episodes of YCDTO-TV resumed full-time in 1982 in the half-hour all-comedy format, with Nickelodeon and CJOH as production partners. Over the next few years, the series was screened nationally in Canada. CTV, the network CJOH-TV was affiliated with, broadcast the show on Saturday mornings between 1982 and 1990 with little publicity. However, YCDTO-TV continued to expand its audience in the United States on Nickelodeon, where it initially aired 5 times a week and eventually every day. The series gained broader exposure in its native Canada in 1988 when it was added by the newly established youth-oriented YTV cable channel. It was heavily promoted and aired daily during peak viewing hours. Viewers in the United States were given the opportunity to enter the Slime In, a contest hosted by Nickelodeon that flew the winner to the set of You Can't Do That on television, to be slimed. The contest was later replicated by Canada's YTV as the Slime Light Sweepstakes. In 1983, at WGBH-TV in Boston, Massachusetts, Roger Price created a version of YCDTO-TV for American Public Television Network, PBS, titled Don't Look Now, originally to be titled Don't Tell Your Mother. The show was similar to episodes from the 1979 season of YCDTO-TV, including music videos and several earlier YCDTO-TV sketches and motifs, including a variation on the show's trademark green slime gag called Yellow Yuck. Despite high ratings, the series ended after its 5-episode trial run in October 1983, possibly because of complaints from parents about its content. Nickelodeon was also concerned that if Don't Look Now was successful, it could mean the end of YCDTO-TV. The series was believed lost until all 5 episodes surfaced in early 2013. They have been posted on YouTube, excluding the copyrighted music. Videos.Price created another show for Nickelodeon in 1985, the less successful Turkey Television. It featured several main cast members of YCDTO-TV, including Les Lai, Christine McGlade, Kevin Kubuszewski, and Adam Reed. By this time, McGlade, now in her 20s and eager to move on with her life, had moved to Toronto and was flying back to Ottawa for YCDTO-TV taping sessions. Turkey Television also marked McGlade's debut as a producer, a career that she continued after leaving YCDTO-TV in 1986. Another Price production using YCDTO-TV cast members, UFO Kidnapped, was made in 1983. Although the pilot aired on Nickelodeon, the series was not picked up, changing of the guard and controversies at it. By 1987, many of the veteran cast members, such as Matthew Godfrey, Douglas Ptolemy, Vanessa Lindores, and Adam Reed, had grown too old for the show. Longtime host Christine McGlade, Moose, had departed the previous year, as had Alasdair Gillis, who had been promoted to co-host with McGlade in 1985 before leaving toward the end of the 1986 season. Lisa Ruddy, Motormouth, McGlade's longtime sidekick on the show, left at the end of the 1985 season. Only 5 episodes were filmed for the 1987 season, tying with the 1990 season as the shortest during the show's 15-year run. The episode, Adoption, was so controversial that it was banned after being shown twice. A Do Not Air sticker was placed on the master tape at CJOH. Adoption is the only episode that was banned in the United States. Co-creator Jeffrey Darby has stated that he felt the episode went too far and that the writers were unaware of the sensitive nature of the material. In Canada, the divorce episode was banned. However, the adoption episode was shown with edits. In the sketch in which Senator Prevert calls the adoption agency to send his son back after using him to do chores all day, the line in which he calls the adoption agency officer a damn bureaucrat was excised. In addition, Nickelodeon had removed the half-hour edits of the 1981 episodes of You Can't Do That on Television from its daily rotation, along with the 1982 Cosmetics episode, Citation Needed. The 1981 episodes were set to air for the last time during a 1985 week-long promotion called Oldies But Moldies, with contests in which viewers could win prizes such as tasty, fresh chocolate syrup. Instead, the episodes continued to air until the end of 1987, but not often. Reportedly, this was because Nickelodeon's 6-year contract to air the 1981 season expired in 1987. As Nickelodeon was beginning to aim for a younger demographic, and many of the 1981 episodes dealt with topics more relevant to teenagers, such as smoking, drugs, sexual equality, and peer pressure, the network opted not to renew the contract. Continued to air reruns until January 1994, at which point it was only aired on weekends. On October 5, 2015, Nickelodeon's sister network Teen Nick brought the show back in reruns as the first program on the Splat, its expanded classic-themed block. The airings began with the first 2 1981 episodes, Work, and Transportation, marking the first time that those episodes had aired on American television in 30 years. However, only 2 additional episodes, Christmas and Holidays from the 1984 season, have been aired since. As of March 23, 2021, the 1981 season has been made available to stream on Paramount+. International airings YCDTO-TV was aired in Australia, with great success on ABC television in the mid-1980s, beginning with 1981's Work, Work, Work. It aired at 5:30 p.m. on weekdays until August 1987, when the initial run ended. After its first 2 runs, it was moved to a 7:00 a.m. weekday morning time slot in 1989. It continued to run periodically on ABC television for the next few years, mainly as a filler during the school holidays until the rights expired in the early 1990s. The show was aired in its entirety, including the final 2 seasons of 1989-90. The series was also seen in European countries, and reportedly in countries in the Middle East, with Arabic dubbing, although no French-dubbed version for distribution in either France or countries in the Francophone world is known to exist. Nor were any local adaptations based on the YCDTO-TV format known to have been made. YCDTO-TV was also broadcast in several other countries, such as the United Kingdom, on the former satellite and cable children's network The Children's Channel, New Zealand on TV3, Germany on Armed Forces Network with the original English audio, Saudi Arabia on the country's former English-language channel Saudi 2, and the Philippines on RPN 9. Parody YCDTO-TV has been occasionally referenced during episodes of Robot Chicken, including some of the show's trademark gags, such as locker jokes, Barth's Burgery, and green slime. In the Family Guy episode, Fast Times at Buddy Cianci Junior High, Peter Griffin is slimed after saying, "I don't know." It was followed immediately by a still shot that is a direct reference to YCDTO-TV's opening sequence, with the words, "You can't do that on television," written in red over a man's face. A later episode of the series was titled, "You Can't Do That on Television, Peter," but contained no overt references to YCDTO-TV. In the news radio episode, The Song Remains the Same, Mr. James celebrates April Fool's Day in February by having Joe install the trigger machines from YCDTO-TV, and then tricks the cast into getting slimed and doused with water. The 1981 episode of VH1's I Love the 80s 3D features a segment on YCDTO-TV that features Hal Sparks, Allison Hannigan, and Weird Al Yankovic, all getting slimed after being tricked into saying, "I don't know." Will Wheaton is also slimed during the opening credits. YCDTO-TV is also loosely parodied in the 2010 How I Met Your Mother episode Glitter, with Kobe Smulders' character on the Canadian television show Space. Teens making several references to the show. In reality, Smulders grew up a fan of the show. The Saturday Night Live Season 47 episode, hosted by John Mulaney, features a humorous account of how green slime came to be introduced to YCDTO-TV and ultimately Nickelodeon Reunion in July 2004. To celebrate the program's 25th anniversary, a reunion special called Project 131 with the theme changes was produced at CJOH-TV, starring 5 members of the original cast. These included Brody Osome, Marjorie Silkoff, and Vanessa Lindores, visibly pregnant at the time, Justin Cammey, and Alasdair Gillis. It was directed by David Dillahunt. Proposed reboot in August 2017, it was announced that You Can't Do That on television would be getting a reboot. Original creator Roger Price would serve as executive producer, while Jimmy Fox of Main Event Media would develop the project. However, Fox stated on their Twitter account on September 14, 2019, that the Mace reboot had been called off. The show's comedy centered around how kids are treated by adults and the rest of the world. The show's skits gave satirical and exaggerated views of grown-ups as clueless, out of touch, and often using their status as adults to take advantage of kids. Les Lai portrayed several characters in the recurring skits, including Ross, the technical producer and director of the show, who constantly cheated and swindled money from everyone, especially the kid actors. Barth, a cook at the fast food burger place who cooked terrible food for the kids, and the father Lance Prevert, who tried to raise his kids but was utterly clueless about what his kids were doing. The younger characters, meanwhile, differed from other kids' TV shows in the way they often bickered and insulted one another in their character roles, rather than getting along and enjoying their time together as seen on most other shows for children. Hosts. Christine and Alanis frequently insulted each other, and each tried to outdo the other in their roles, reflecting the real-life rivalries and competition taking place among kids in everyday life. Episodes of YCDTO-TV included recurring gimmicks and gags. The following is a partial list. Opening animation, the children's television Sausage Factory. Originally created by Rand McIver under art director John C. Galt, who was inspired by Terry Gilliam's Gilliamations. The opening animation sequence was a sequence of surreal images set to Rossini's William Tell Overture performed in a Dixieland. Jazz arrangement by the National Press Club and Allied Workers Jazz Band. Though the arrangement of the theme music stayed the same throughout the entire series run, although there are subtle differences between the themes in various seasons, especially the closing themes, and Whatever Turns You On used a completely different theme song, the opening animation itself changed in different ways. The center block of the Canadian Parliament complex was used in the first season, and in the original hour-long versions of the 1981 season episodes. In this animation sequence, a person pulls the roof off one side of the building, releasing 3 balloons bearing the likenesses of the 3 party leaders at the time: Pierre Trudeau, Liberal, Joe Clark, Progressive Conservative, and Ed Broadbent, NDP. A hand from off-screen then ignites the bottom of the Peace Tower with a match, and it launches like a rocket. The start of the animation features a likeness of 1979 cast member David Helpin. There are 2 versions of the children's television Sausage Factory animation. In this sequence, children are processed in the sausage factory and deposited onto a school bus at the bottom of the factory that transports them to the TV studio, a likeness of the CJOH studios on Merivale Road in Nepean, Ontario. The first version was created for the half-hour, internationally syndicated versions of the 1981 episodes. The second version, which featured larger images and cleaner, albeit less fluid, scene animation than the first version, was introduced in the 1982 season and was used for both the U.S. and Canadian broadcasts of You Can't Do. That on television until the end of the show in 1990. Both versions of the children's television Sausage Factory animation feature likenesses of Jonathan Gebert, Kevin Summers, Mark Bayon, and Christine McGlade exiting the school bus as well as a likeness of Les Lai as the security guard at the door of the TV studio. This footage was reused from the opening sequence of 1979's short-lived Whatever Turns You On. The ending of the introduction shows Lai's face with his mouth opening, and his face is stamped, "You can't do that on television." The screen is then cracked and splits, and the show begins. Preempted show intro starting in Season 2 before the intro, there was usually a title card with a gag show that was preempted, with the announcer Les Lai introducing it. Mr. T thinks he's a girl will not be seen today so that we may present a show still trying to find itself. Episode Identity Crisis. A lot of 1980s cultural references were used at the time. The A-Team, General Hospital, Rambo, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, etc. Sometimes the show itself was preempted, which happened 3 times. On the episode Failure, they failed to come up with an intro. Another episode, titled Inequalities, began with a disclaimer that read, "The following program contains certain scenes which may not be suitable for mature audiences. Juvenile discretion is advised in lieu of a preempted show." Opposites each episode had an opposites segment, opposite skits, where the opposite of real life really happens, introduced by a visual effect of the screen flipping upside down, shifting left to fade to the next sketch, and then writing itself. Typically, right before this happened, one or more cast members would be interrupted by another cast member saying the opposite of what the monologue or dialogue was about, at which the cast would say, "It must be the introduction to the opposites," and then the inversion fade would happen. The sketches that followed were a tongue-in-cheek reversal of the show's subject and of daily life, often featuring children having authority over adults or adults encouraging children to behave badly. For example, eating sweets instead of vegetables, or wasting money on something frivolous rather than putting the money in the bank. Some opposites features were reversals of the roles and gags related to the show's recurring characters, usually played by Les Lai or Abby Hagyard, such as the cast getting to execute El Capitano at the firing squad or torturing Nasty the dungeon keeper. Inverse tropes related to Mr. Schindler in the classroom and the principal in detention were also frequent. However, very rarely would an opposite feature the kids getting their revenge on Barth. A return to the show's daily subject was indicated by another inversion fade, sometimes accompanied by one of the cast members saying, "Back to reality." These would occasionally occur in the middle of a sketch, resulting in the characters inverting whatever they were doing prior to the conclusion of the sketch. Opposite sketches were used in the inaugural season of the show. The first one, in Naobo Episode 2, was submitted by a viewer, but it was not until Whatever Turns You On that they became an integral part of the show. Firing Squad most episodes, starting in 1981, included one or more Firing Squad sketches in which Lai played El Capitano, a Latin American military officer preparing to order a firing squad, whom he addressed as the Amigos, to execute one of, the child actors tied up standing in front of a firing post. The kid would often trick El Capitano into being shot by the firing squad himself, and as he keeled over, El Capitano would groan, "That is one sneaky kid." Barth's Burgers. Starting with the 1981 season, most episodes featured sketches with the kids eating at Barth's Burgery, a fast food burger restaurant run by Barth, Lie, a chain-smoking, unpleasant, disgusting cook who uses unsanitary and questionable methods of cooking burgers. Most of the sketches involve Barth revealing the contents of the burgers to the kids' disgust and them remarking, "Who or what do you think is in the burgers?" Barth's trademark is, "Duh, I heard that," or on one episode, "Duh, I heard thee." In the 1981 and 1982 seasons, Barth had a worker, Zilch, played by Daryl Lucas, whom he frequently insulted and abused, often by hitting him with a pan and knocking him out cold. Locker jokes during the Locker Jokes segment of each episode. Cast members standing inside school lockers with the words, "You can't do that on television," painted on them, told jokes to each other. The person telling the joke would open his or her locker and call another cast member to whom he or she would tell the joke. For the duration of the joke, those cast members would be the only ones seen with open lockers. After each joke, the actors would close their lockers, allowing the process to start again with different people and a new joke. This was similar to the joke wall segment on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. The Locker Jokes feature was introduced in the first season and continued until the end of the series. The lockers underwent minor makeovers during the show's early years, but mostly remained the same for the entire run of the show. In 2004, when fans and cast reunited for the show's 25th anniversary, the original lockers were auctioned. Locker Jokes. During the Locker Jokes segment of each episode, cast members, standing inside school lockers with the words, "You can't do that on television," painted on them, told jokes to each other. The person telling the joke would open his or her locker and call another cast member to whom he or she would tell the joke. For the duration of the joke, those cast members would be the only ones seen with open lockers. After each joke, the actors would close their lockers, allowing the process to start again with different people and a new joke. This was similar to the joke wall segment on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. The Locker Jokes feature was introduced in the first season and continued until the end of the series. The lockers underwent minor makeovers during the show's early years, but mostly remained the same for the entire run of the show. In 2004, when fans and cast reunited for the show's 25th anniversary, the original lockers were auctioned. Production. Bumper used in a few episodes in the first 2 seasons, and by almost every episode in later seasons. The closing credits of You Can't Do That on television are followed by an announcement of the company that produced the program, with the name generally tying in with the episode's main subject. These announcements are given in the form of, "You Can't Do That on Television" is a NMI's production. Examples of the fictional production company include Black Eye, Bullying, Can't Give It Away, Marketing, Split Down the Middle, Divorce, Hang Out to Dry, Malls, and Blood is Thicker Than Water, Families. The production company's name was announced by Lie, who often included a joke about the show or its producers, only to realize that the cameras were still rolling. Post-credits scene. The post-credit production bumper was generally followed by one final sketch, also borrowing a concept from Laugh-In, in which the jokes continued for a time after the credits finished rolling. The bumper frequently took place backstage and broke the fourth wall with remarks about the episode, usually featuring one final humiliation or comeuppance for that episode's main cast member. These scenes were often cut short or removed altogether, especially for airings on Nickelodeon. Water, slime, and pies, affectionately called stage pollution by the cast and crew, certain keywords resulted in cast members having unpleasant substances poured onto them from above or thrown at them from off-camera. Water, when someone said the word water, wash, or wet, a large amount of cold water would fall onto them from above. In the earlier years of the show, cast members, especially Christine, were doused pails of water, but starting in 1981, the water would fall from above. By the 1984 season, only the word water led to a dousing, whereas in earlier seasons the e.g. words wet and H2O also did. On occasion, cast members tried to dodge the water by saying agua, Spanish, Wasser, German, or eau, French, instead, only to be soaked anyway. In one episode, characters rehearse a sketch in a made-up foreign language. One of the made-up words is pingle-ding, which apparently means water, as the kid who says pingle-ding gets drenched twice. While the show's green slime changed, ingredients and even consistencies frequently, the water was almost always the same. Occasionally, cast members were doused with variations such as soapy, hot, brown, toilet, or yellow polluted water. Slime, when someone said, "I don't know," green, slime would pour down on them from above. This type of prank was known as being slimed, and it became one of the show's most notable elements. As with waterings, the sliming gag was used in almost every episode, especially from 1982 onward. According to writer-director Jeffrey Darby, the slime gave the kids a comeuppance so that they wouldn't appear arrogant. Green slime was a fixture of the series from the very beginning, appearing in the show's first episode. In the book Slimed, An Oral History of Nickelodeon's Golden Age, Darby stated that the original slime developed by accident. Darby had originally planned for a bucket of food leftovers from the CJOH cafeteria, with water added, to be dumped on Tim, but the production of that first episode was delayed by a week. When the time came to shoot the scene, the contents of the bucket had turned green with mold. Darby authorized the mixture to be dumped on Tim anyway. Roger Price was furious, but the response from the viewing audience was positive, so Darby and Price wrote an entire 1979 show about the slime. The Green Slime Show, in which Lisa Ruddy is the victim of 6 slimings, a YCDTO-TV record. With that episode, the use of "I don't know" as the slime's trigger phrase was introduced, and it quickly became the show's trademark gag. Most of the cast did not like getting slimed. Christine McGlade said it was gross and challenging. And on occasion, they tried to avoid saying "I don't know." This usually backfired, as in the computers episode when McGlade said "insufficient data" instead of "I don't know," and got green slime dumped on her anyway, since, as it was explained by Lisa Ruddy, who was with McGlade at the time, the slime for that episode was computer-controlled. Some variations of the magic words also triggered the slime, such as in the Blame episode when the entire cast got slimed together after one of them said, "We don't know." Although the slime was usually green, other colors such as red, blue, yellow, and even black and white were occasionally used. 1981's Safety First episode, which featured white slime as part of a recurring joke in about wearing white at night, was the first episode known to have used a slime color other than green. Lisa got slimed with white slime after saying, "I really don't know." In the 1982 episode Television, Christine is slimed in green, red, blue, yellow, and stripes, green, red, blue, and yellow at once, while trying to explain about green slime to newcomer Vanessa Lindores. McGlade had the slime washed out by mentioning to Vanessa that it usually comes out with water and then got dumped on with water. This sketch was later seen in the opening to the 1987 thriller film Fatal Attraction. In one of the show's crueler pranks, Ross, Les Lie, tricks Christine into getting dumped with a thicker, chunkier blue slime. The 1986 Enemies and Paranoia episode used the word freedom as a trigger phrase for red slime after the studio was taken over by Russian communists. Other instances of slime colors other than green include orange slime in the Myths episode, brown slime in the Cosmetics episode, and black slime in the Time episode. The recipe for green slime originally consisted of rotten food. However, after continued complaints from the cast about the hazardous ingredients, the recipe was changed to a mixture of lime green gelatin powder, oatmeal, and water. Eventually, baby shampoo was added so that the slime would wash out of the actor's hair more easily after several of the female cast members complained. In the Television episode, Christine reveals the ingredients as water, gelatin powder, flour, and soap. In later years, the recipe consisted simply of green food coloring and cottage cheese, though it spoiled if left too long under hot studio lights. Especially in the later years of the show, cast members who were slimed frequently looked upward into the slime as it was falling so that it covered their faces. The same was also true of the waterings. To avoid damage to the set from water, or slime, a clear tarpaulin was laid on the floor, which can occasionally be seen and or heard underneath the actors, and the loud splatter sound usually heard during a watering or sliming is that of the liquid hitting the tarpaulin. Actors, to be slimed or soaked, usually appeared barefoot in the scene, and several cast members who were slimed were reportedly paid extra. Scenes involving slimings were the final ones taped during a recording, allowing the actors to immediately rinse after the scene without causing delays. Green slime grew to become a trademark image for Nickelodeon, and the network demanded more slimings on the show as the years went on, resulting in episodes such as 1985's Movies, in which the entire cast, save for Abby Hagyard, is slimed. Nickelodeon later introduced green slime shampoo, which was a frequent parting gift on its game show Double Dare, on which slime was heavily used. Mattel sold Nickelodeon slime and the GAC brand in the 1990s. Slime was also frequently used in the network's advertisements featuring YCDTO-TV cast members as victims. of an impromptu sliming. Nickelodeon's former studios in Orlando had a green slime geyser. The network continues to use green slime during its annual Kids' Choice Awards and coverage of the National Football League. Pies. The original slapstick pie-in-the-face gag was also frequently used on YCDTO-TV, although pie scenes were most common during the early years of the show. One whole episode, 1981's Drugs, was constructed completely around the pie-in-the-face gag. To avoid the wrath of the censors, the episode showed the cast getting high by pieing themselves continuously, comparing the stupidity of hitting oneself with a pie to that of taking drugs. Unlike the slime and water, pies were not usually triggered by any certain word or trigger phrase, although in the earlier years saying, "let me have it" or "give it to me" would frequently result in a pieing. Cast apart from the central cast as Les Lye and Abby Hagyard, who played the adult character roles, over 100 preteen and teenage actors appeared on YCDTO-TV between 1979 and 1990. Some of the most notable cast members included Stephanie Bauder, 1989-90 episode. On 14 Choices episode 142, Privileges went on to star in Night of the Demons, 3 alongside fellow castmate Christian Tessier. Nick Belcourt, 1989 episode 114, Choices episode 134. Effort known for a recurring gag of being unable to remember whether his name was Nick or Ted, stemming from a real-life incident during a read-through in which he read Ted Wilson's lines by mistake. Chris Bickford, 1989-90 episode 114, Choices, episode 143, Invention's fourth and final host. Known for his trademark leather jacket, Jennifer Brackenberry, 1989-90 episode 114, Choices episode 143. Inventions referred to by some fans as the new Vanessa. Jen co-hosted the Worst of YCDTO TV videocassette, along with Chris Bickford and Christian Tessier. Carlos Braithwaite, 1989-90 episode 114. Choices episode 141. Learning. The only African-American cast member during the show's 1990 season. Jamie Burning, 1981 episode 117. Strike Now episode 22. Smoking Native American performer who appeared in traditional clothing. Only appeared twice during the 1981 season. Ruth Buzzy, 1979 episode 01. Live episode 014, End of the Line, played many of the adult female characters and was only slimed twice. Andrea Byrne, 1987-89 episode 111, Adoption episode 122. Pollution famous for her Little Orphan Andrea persona. In the Adoption episode, Justin Cammey, 1983-86 episode 049. Classical Music episode 084. Revenge did not appear in any 1986 episodes, although he is in the official cast photo. Appeared in his first episode clad in a diaper playing a sitar, as Roger Price's revenge for having to deal with Justin's difficult mother. Stephanie Chow, 1984, Saint 7 episode 074. Families episode 112. Anniversaries offered the chance to return for the 1989 season, but declined. Angie caught it. 981-84 episode 007. Dating episode 060, Foreign Countries, known for her character, Angie the Talking Doll, during the 1981 season. She appeared in only one episode each in 1982 and 84, Eugene Contreras, 1982-85 episode 029. Popularity episode 088. Movies he and his brother Roddy were chosen after Roger Price, who had been looking for Hispanic kids for the show, overheard them speaking Spanish, although they had arrived at the studio too late to audition. Roddy Contreras, episode 035, television episode 035. Television Roddy's appearances in his only episode were edited out of the Nickelodeon airings of the show post-1983, once the network became advertiser-supported. Tim Douglas, 1979, episode 001, live, episode 010. Boring Tim was the first cast member to be slimed, and one of only 2 cast members to have the real green slime dumped on him made from moldy food leftovers. Ian Fingler, 1979, episode 009, episode 00, only appeared in one episode. Jonathan Gabert, 1979, 81, episode 001, live. Episode 026. Peer Pressure Jono was also a cast member on Whatever Turns You On and Something Else. By the 1981 season, he was too tall to appear on the Link set and was seen mainly in execution and dungeon skits. Alasdair Gillis, 1982-86 episode. 031, Vacations episode 108. Mysteries and Crimes, second official host. Cameo in 1989's Fantasies and Age episodes. Amyas Godfrey, Teen 86, 89 episode, 089. Fairy Tales, Myths and Legends, episode 139, Embarrassment, along with Andrea Byrne, Rekha Shah, and James Tung. Amyas was one of only 3 kid cast members to transition from 1986-87 to 1989, and the only one to appear regularly in 89. Matthew Godfrey, 1986, 87 episode 091, Know-It-Alls episode 112, Anniversary's older brother of Amyas Godfrey. He and his brother had just moved back to Ottawa after 4 years living in Dallas when they were cast. Their time in Texas was occasionally used as an in-joke on the show. Abby Hagyard, 1982-90, episode 027. Cosmetics episode 143, Inventions adult cast member. Her most frequent roles were Mom, Valerie Prevert, and the British-accented librarian, but she played most adult female roles during her time on the show. She was not slimed until the 1989 season. David Halpin, 1979 episode 001, live, episode 014. End of the line, David was one of the original cast members and hosted many of the call-in segments. He was slimed, along with the rest of the cast, in the St. Patrick's Day episode. Brad Hampson, 1979 episode 02, episode 0110. Boring Brad was one of the only cast members of the inaugural season to not get slimed. Rodney Halal, 1979, 81 episode 001, live. Episode 026. Peer Pressure Rodney was one of a few cast members to be featured on both YCDTO-TV, as well as its sister show, Whatever Turns You On. Although he was never slimed, Rodney was frequently on the receiving end of pies. Ramona Halal 1979 episode 03, Nickel and Dime episode 003. Nickel and Dime Ramona was the older sister of Rodney Halal and was only in one episode. She was, however, featured in several episodes of Whatever Turns You On. Michael Hora 1983-84 episode 044, Future World episode 051, Fame Never Slimed. Jim Johnson 1979 episode 001, Live, episode 014. End of the line adult cast member. Only on the show for first season as a disc jockey for music segments, common in the first season, but never aired in subsequent years. Adam Kalbfleisch, 1984-86 episode 062, moving episode 095, Country Watered. Twice during his run on the show, but never slimed, Cindy Kennedy, 1979 episode 01, Live, episode 014, End of the Line. Cindy hosted several of the 1979 episodes and famously went home sick after being slimed for the first time. Martin Kerr 1981-83 episode 025, Nutrition episode 040. Pets Kerr joined the cast after Roger Price saw him in one of the local roving camera segments when the show aired on CJOH and decided he liked him. He also participated in something else. Pauline Kerr 1984-85 episode 060, Foreign Countries, episode 078, Wealth Martin Kerr's younger sister. Tanya King 1981 episode 018, Fitness episode 018. Fitness Tanya only appeared in one episode and is one of the few cast to avoid being pied, slimed, or watered. Kevin Kubuszewski, 1981-84 episode 016, Strike Now episode 068. Halloween, Kubuszewski became a writer and producer on the series during the 1989 and 1990 seasons, and on occasion made cameos. Vanessa Lindor's 1982-87 episode 035, television episode 112. Anniversaries Lindor's was the show's third host and returned to host 1989's Age episode. She also appeared, then pregnant, in 2004's reunion, Project 131. The only other cast member to have the real green slime dumped on her made from rotten food leftovers. Tony Lefevre, teen, 82 episode 036, Sports episode 036. Sports Tony was one of only 3 cast members that never appeared on the Link set, but was watered at Barth's. Daryl Lucas, 1981-82 episode 015, work episode 040. Growing Up Daryl was the only actor on the series to play an exclusive role in one recurring sketch. He played Zilch, Barth's often abused burglary assistant. The only exception is in episode 032, Vacations. In addition to playing Zilch, he also played an umpire. Simone Lumsden, 82 episode 036, Sports. Episode 036. Sports Simone also never appeared on the Link set. She was properly initiated into the cast, getting slimed in the dungeon. Leslie 1979, 90 episode 001, Live. Episode 143. Inventions, one of only 2 adult cast members, and the only one to appear in the show from its very first to its very last episode. Also starred in Whatever Turns You On. Mike Lyon, 1981, episode 018. Fitness episode 024, Drugs Appeared. In only 2 episodes, Christine Moose McGlade, 1979, 86 episode 001, Live, episode 093, Garbage Christine was the first official host. She featured also in many skits, and also had a brief cameo in the Age episode in 1989. Her younger sister Lisa was used in some skits as an uncredited extra. She also appeared on Whatever Turns You On and Something Else, and went on to develop The Short-Lived Turkey Television with Roger Price, Patrick Mills, 1989, 90 episode 121, Security episode 143. Privileges Mills became a film director and screenwriter. Post-YCDTO TV, Forrest Wolf Mohawk, 1982 episode 039, The Not So Fair Show episode 039, The Not So Fair Show, along with Jamie Burning, one of only 2 Native American cast members, only appeared in 1 episode. Alanis Morissette, 1986 episode 090, Pop Music episode. 100 contests appeared in a total of 5 episodes. Was slimed 3 times, but only one of her slime scenes aired, Pop Music. Brody Osom Antinteen 81-83 episode 015, Transportation, episode 049. Classical Music Osom appeared in Project 131 with Vanessa Lindores and Marjorie Silkoff. Doug Ptolemy, 1982-87 episode 030, Fads and Fashion episode 112. Anniversaries Ptolemy made a cameo appearance in the 1989 Age episode. After leaving and also had a battle with drug addiction after the show ended. Natalie Radmore, 1982 episode 039. The Not So Fair Show episode 039. The Not So Fair Show, Natalie was slimed, watered, and pied in her only appearance. Adam Reed, 1984, Cop 87 episode. 078, Wealth episode 112. Anniversaries Reed made a cameo in the 1989 Punishment episode. He also co-wrote several episodes that season with Roger Price, Elizabeth Richardson. 1982-83 episode 28, Cosmetics episode 48, Inequality. Kids versus Adults, Elizabeth is one of the very few cast members never to be watered, pied, or slimed during her time on the show. Lisa Ruddy, 1979, 85 episode 001, Live. Episode 088. Movies Ruddy was a cast member on Whatever Turns You On as well. At the end of her tenure on the show, she, Christine McGlade, and Les Lye were the only remaining original cast members. Ruddy was sometimes called Motormouth Lisa. Ruddy, because of her tendency to talk a lot. She took the longest sliming of the show during the cooking episode, having 2 extra-large buckets dumped on her during the sliming at the dinner table. Scott Sandeman, 1981 episode 0019, Safety. First. Episode 025. Nutrition Scott appeared in only 2 episodes and is one of only a few cast members to be featured in multiple episodes without getting slimed, pied, or watered. Siddharth, Sahay, 1989, 90 episode. 116, Communication episode. 135, Sports brother of Vic Sahay. Vic Sahay, 1986, 87 episode. 105, Sleep episode 112, Anniversaries Canadian actor of Indian descent. whose brother Siddharth Sahay also appeared on Show. Kevin Schenk, 1979, 81 the episode, 008 episode 026. Peer Pressure Schenk was also a cast member on Whatever Turns You On. Clee Scott, 1982, 84 episode 031. Vacations, episode 054, ESP. Magic Astrology. Scott was born in Panama. After You Can't. She played significant roles in the movies Minority Report and Collateral, as well as a leading role in the television series Intelligence. She also was featured in other Roger Price productions, such as UFO Kidnapped. Rekha Shah, 1986, 89 episode 094. Garbage episode 122. Pollution Shah went on to star in another successful Nickelodeon show, 15. Was only green slimed once because she hated it so much. Saria Sharp, 1989, 90 episode 122. Fantasy episode 143, Inventions, Saria's. Trademark became complaining about her totally Neanderthal mother, who never let her have her ears pierced, and her nice hair frequently getting ruined by green slime. Marjorie Silcoff, 1984, 85 episode 056, History episode 084. Revenge, Silcoff was watered in 3 episodes plus Project 131 but never slimed. She returned for Project 131 along with Vanessa Lindoris and Brody Osome. Kevin Summers, 1979 or 81 episode 001, Live episode 0019, Safety First. Summers was also a cast member on Whatever Turns You On. Like Gebert, he appeared chiefly in execution and dungeon skits by 1981 due to his height and age, although he did also participate in Something Else. Amy Stanley, 1989-90 episode 133, Celebrations, episode 141. Learning Amy, the younger sister of Jill Stanley, was the only cast member not yet born when the series premiered in February 1979. Jill Stanley, 1989-90 episode 115, Chores episode 141. Learning Jill had previously starred in the movie Tommy Tricker and the Stamp Traveler as Nancy. She had a problem with remembering her lines, which became a running gag on YCDTO TV. Was offered the hosting gig but turned it down. Christian Tessier, 1989-90 episode 116, Communication, episode 143. Inventions. Tessier is an actor and singer, whose first appearance on television was this program. Sarah West, 1979, episode 007. The famous Green Slime Show, St. Patrick's Day, episode 009. Executive Washrooms, was the first female cast member to be slimed in the dungeon. Teddy Wilson, 1989-90 episode. Foreign Choices episode 143, Inventions billed here as Ted Wilson. He later shared hosting duties on Never Ever Do This at Home and Inner Space. Bradfield Wiltz, 1979 episode 007. The famous Green Slime Show, St. Patrick's Day. Episode 07. The famous Green Slime Show, St. Patrick's Day, only appeared in 1 episode. Well, that was another Remember That show. You can't do that on TV. I hope you enjoyed. If you happen to have any thoughts about this show, let me know them in the comments. I would like to read them. If you have any ideas for a show you would like me to look at, also put those in the comments. Keep an eye out for next week to see what show I will do. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. As always, until next time, keep on collecting. Bye.